All right, welcome to SC Custom Designs. We are at part 3A or B, whatever you want to call it, where we're going to assemble this very simple frame made with Mortise Tenon, the custom way. So, you know, like in a unique way. I borrow from this method and from that method and whatever, and I'll use this tool or that tool, and the next time it might be even different. It all depends on maybe what day it is. But welcome to SC Custom Designs. If you're finding this video independently of the series, just know that there is a series on making an awesome desk for the owner of a company called The Works, Mr. DeSorbo. That company has now been bought out. It was so successful, but we all still work for that company. So at any rate, here is the glass table episode that I'm doing. I'm going to let you follow every step. Now, if I really regret not putting this guy, hopefully you're seeing something here. You see me next to a cherry coffee table. Now, I made that out of a round coffee table that was reclaimed, and I regret not taking step-by-step video of that. So what do you think of that face? All right, so in a glue up project, you want to try to think of everything that can go right and everything that can go wrong. One of the first mistakes that I made when I first started gluing up was not having enough clamps. That being said, you only see 6 clamps here, because really that's all I'm going to need here. I'm also going to let you in on a little bit of a trick. One of my tenons, Mortise, one of my tenons wasn't done. It was too bold, or it raised up the wood. Actually, it was below, and so it was not going to be flush here. So I very quickly rectified the situation by taking the tenon and just chiseling it at the top inside, right? And I just chiseled away at it so it could raise up to this level here, and then I went over to the bandsaw and I made these very thin, like you can even see this. Got a new camera here. The good news is that it has a wide angle lens, which means I'm not going to shake the camera as much, or just like kind of absorbs it. So I made these very thin little oak wafers, you know, and at the end of the day, it really isn't going to matter that, you know, that I did that, but that's just a little tip for you. So what I'll be doing, if you see me, once I start gluing up, I'm going to shove these guys in here into the Mortise, and then very carefully put in the tenon into the slot. So that's what's going on there. That's the tip of the day. There's always something that you can do. This is the beauty about the beauty of having your own wood shop and having some experience. So, you know, if you're new at woodworking, hopefully that tip is great for you. Those of you, and I keep forgetting to say this in the beginning, if you know, this is not advanced woodworking, so you can probably skip this episode. Unless you want to be entertained by me. I can be entertaining. So, all right, so let's just go ahead and glue this up, and you can watch me hopefully be extremely successful in doing so. I have had some doozies in the past. So we have one clamp at each end, and they are just wide enough. I mean, I have like 1/4 of an inch of room there. I have big square and on either end corner, right? So those are there. Then I have these little squares here that you use for rafters and those types of things. So your speed square, it's called a speed square. So I have those guys sitting right here. That way I have a visual that everything is going to be just fine. And somehow I lost one of mine. All right, so we'll put him in here. Now, in theory, what I could do is just make sure it's all square, right? And then just take a pencil, which I'll tell you what, they have a way just flying right off my head. And you could just draw in lines like so. All right, I'm going to put it back, assuring that it is square, and it actually is. Do the same thing. All right, and when things move, make sure. Okay, so in the event that my squares are getting in the way for some reason, and I'm telling you, the things that happen when you're gluing up, we could have a channel just on watch me glue up and see what happens. All right, but I'm going to choose just to leave them there for now. But I'll tell you, I've had past glue up jobs where I had to really get creative. Okay, so I'm just going to set this here now. I'm going to try not to shake the camera. I'll move these two here over. They can stay. This is the glue bot. If you don't have a glue bot, highly recommend it. The beauty of a glue bot is you squeeze, it goes this way and up. So I don't have to tip it to get the glue out. So it's just a great thing to get, a glue bot. I got a mini glue bot as well. I have water down here, copious amounts of water. And it's really important to get the glue off, okay, as soon as possible. And if you haven't been working with wood glue, then you are in for a surprise if you don't get that up. Okay, so I'm going to remove this guy here. Beep, beep, beep. Gotta get him out here. All right, and I'll go ahead and fill him up with glue. I'll do the same over here. You want to be as prepared as possible. I happen to know how these are all fitting together. So some of them are perfect, and some of them are not so perfect, which I dealt with, and some, as in this case, really, really snug. Not too snug though. And just in case you missed some of my tips, you want to make sure your tenon, there you are, your tenon is shy of your mortise. In other words, the area in here. Okay, you don't want it exactly bottoming out. Because what happens, and I said in my last video, I watch my videos and say, well, said that wrong. When it gets humid and things begin to expand, I said dry. Well, there you go. It's going to push on itself and it's going to come loose. All right. As strong as glue is over time, if you're not preparing correctly, then you're going to be embarrassed. As the customer is going to say, what gives? This shouldn't be giving. All right. So I'm going to try to get on with it. Okay, I'm going to fill him up. A little bit of glue on the top. Okay, the same down here. All right. Glue is amazing how strong it is, by the way. It really is. It really becomes that bond. I've had projects where when I'm working on it, the wood would just crack, because that's what happens. Just happens. And I would glue it up, and that glued up part became stronger than other parts of the wood. And so at any rate, I'd rather put more glue than not, because I can always wipe it up. And some of the tips I have for you are that you should not squeeze the glue out that you just put on the project. I made that rookie mistake where you are literally squeezing out the glue. You don't put a lot of pressure. And I tell you what, when you're in the middle of a thing, you're in the midst of the job, that's when, you know, you may not be thinking correctly. Especially when things start flying all over the place and this dropped and that dropped. You are not going to think clearly. Now remember that every part is lettered A, B, C, D. Last thing you need is when something does fall, or you're still putting things together, and it can be very disorienting when you're not sure which piece goes where. So that is just something you learn as well. It seems obvious at first. You're thinking, oh, I know where everything goes. Then the phone rings. Your lovely one says, I need you. The cat just came down into the wood shop, and you can't just let the cat feel like you're ignoring it. Those of you who are cat lovers and/or dogs lovers. So, all right, I think I'm ready here. Again, I'm looking for my A, B, C, D orientation, and let's go ahead and very carefully and methodically put this together. Okay, confirming now. This is where I have my little shims. You want to stick them in here. In the event that the future owner of this project is looking, no worries. This is going to be just fine. Okay, so I'm just going to drop it to the ground so I can get some overhead pressure on it. All right, that's good. That went right in. And as you can see, it's fine. Okay, you want to pay attention to making sure that they're lining up at the end. Because yes, things can move. They're going to move. And you'll see a little tip a little later on in the episode. No worries, the clamps will pull that in just fine. Where we're going to use those 4 clamps are going to be very instrumental. All right, now we're almost there, folks. Let's go ahead and drop that in there. A into A. B into B. I'm pretty sure he's going to go in there. There we go. Move that guy in a little bit. I'm going to give him a little love tap down in there. Again, just take your time. Get whatever glue up you can. Have a bucket of water. No better time to get the glue off than now. Okay? Regrets thou shalt have if you don't do that. Especially the the insides here. Although I do have a tool called the mini scraper, which has a carbide tip that can be turned as it gets worn. That's perfect for getting in here. Well, why go there to begin with, right? All right, so now we're gonna lay him down. Why it's a him, I don't know. And I'm gonna pull this over to my square lines. And in addition to that, I'm still gonna put my squares here. Like so. And here we go. All right, now we're going to take 4 clamps and we're going to lightly begin to squeeze these guys in a downward fashion. Just a little bit of pressure, my friends, and make sure that they're knocked in flush. This is going to help hold it flush this way. I've seen it where well, there you go. If this were flat down, I wouldn't be able to use my lines, would I? So at any rate, this is great for holding everything flat where it needs to go. Now, I used smaller clamps before. Let's make sure that I can get these clamps around the clamps. And I can. I'm going to go in a little bit more. Really is a little bit overkill, that the big clamps that I got here. I have smaller ones that I could use. But these are the things you'll learn along the journey. All right, so now we're going to get him, pull him up. Not a lot of pressure, just a little bit, because you're going to have to squeeze it this way after all. He's flush, no problem. Let's come over here. And put him in. Down like so. He is not flush, but does make him flush. Beauteous, as they say. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to get our long clamps. Let's start over here. I'm going to squeeze them in. Like so. I'll get my square. Make sure he is actually out now. So we're going to do that trick where we hit one end or the other. All right. Or you pull the corners in. So let's do this. Pull him in. Again, making sure that he's square. And he is square. And he is not square. So we come like this. Just pull it a little bit like so. And now we're a little bit too much the other way. Good. Okay. One of the other things you can do, I like to do these things on the fly, is you can get little clamps I'm about to bring over and pull the square, if that makes sense. So we're going to take him and we're we're going to, as time goes by, what happens is folks are constantly thinking about how to improve a thing. And I see that there's clamps that can be, squares that can be clamped. They have built-in clamps. It just so happens that this is going to work out just fine for me. Okay? And there you go. You have that level of comfort to know that as I begin to pull in on the unit, it's going to be just fine. Vroom, vroom, vroom. I have to move him out just a little bit. So over like so. So I can get him in there. And grab another clamp. Please let me know if you've learned anything from me. I know the more I watch videos and hang around experienced woodworkers like myself, they have different experiences. Hey, have you ever thought about doing this? And a humble woodworker will say, you know what? No, I haven't. So you can spend a few minutes with a seasoned woodworker and you can learn a lot. Bring him at an angle like this as well. Okay. I want to pull him, if I can, a little bit this way. I think that's going to happen. Let's take off the pad. Take off. Maybe I can get him down in there a little bit. Okay. No, he ain't going to work. That's all right. Okay. We're looking good, my friends. Feeling a lot better about the deal. Nice. Okay, now we're going to start squeezing this way. See the glue? It's beating out. That pressure. Release him a little bit. Raise him up a little bit. Looks like he fell down a little bit. And there we go. Let's loosen him a little bit. So, squeeze. Are we still square? I'm happy. I'm going to try to manipulate him a little bit that way. Squeeze him down. Let's have a look-sees. Okay. Looking good. Don't forget about wiping up your glue. I mean, can you sand it later? Yeah, sure. Or just sanding less, my friends. And this is going to be the top part, by the way, under the glass. But this is what you're going to see. All right. Nice. Feeling good, my friends. Like that, glue out of there. Squeeze a little bit more. Oops, fell off. You notice that I put a really big board across. Put them across. length. Again, that glass is 67 pounds. 67 pounds of glass sign. So it has, what I'm making here needs to be very strong. And it's going to be very strong. I mentioned it already, this is oak. Okay. And what I'll be doing is sinking the bottom this piece is over here, so I have a piece that is the length of this and this, a little shy, right? And it's going to go under here, and I'm going to route a channel for that thing to sit right in there, and then glue it up. It's going to become one piece. Now, what if there is some gaps in here, which I see a teeny bit of a gap on one or two, maybe, whatever. You could just take the same species, dust, get it from you when you're sanding, and mix it in with some glue, shove it in there, you know, within reason, right? It can look pathetic if there's a big gap there. So, all right, that went relatively smooth. I mean, it's just a big rectangle, right? And what can go wrong? Well, I dropped a piece. But the more pieces you have, and the more the angles, the more challenging it is to then go ahead and do your glue up. I have other types of jigs where they help to hold things in place-ish while you're getting everything all set. Okay, so there you go. That'll be this episode. So now we're going to be working on this here. These are glued up panels. Talking about glue, I just got glue on one of the panels. That's no big deal, but like I said, it can become a big deal. So I glued up some oak, and I made these panels. Look at that episode where we used the biscuit joiner. And I try to align the grain in such a way that you're going to see as if it were one piece. I'd say I did a pretty decent job. All right. The other side. All right, so I'm happy about that. These will go on the side over here, and I'll be making a frame, legs, so on and so forth, and that'll be fun. Still, it's up in the air exactly how I'm going to finish it, design it. I have a rough idea, but oh well. And then there's going to be a place to put things underneath, magazines or whatever. All right, I think I've been going a long time. Thank you for your patience, and I hopefully you've learned something watching my video. If you like what you see, subscribe, please. Give us a thumbs up. And if you can leave your comments, I'll get back to you on your comments. If you give us a thumbs down, well, just let us know why, and we'll try to improve. One of the suggestions, and you'll hear me say the latest suggestions, is, hey, Steve, talk less. Well, what can I say? I'm a QA guy, and I like to talk things through. All right, take care. God bless. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shebnei beit hamikdash b'mehera b'yameinu aval im Yeshua. Amen. My little Hebrew prayer there. Thank you, Jesus, for blessing our day. Amen. Shalom.